Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Roy Evans of the Jericho Broadcast Networks, and I am here with Mr. Darren Reed, who is the Senior Vice President of Stride Professional Development. Darren, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Roy. Glad to be here.
All right, well, thanks. So let's start off by telling the folks a little bit about what Stride Professional Development is.
Yeah, absolutely. Stride is the nation's leading provider of online education in the K through 12 space. We were formerly known as K-12 Inc. and are over 2 decades in the space of providing free virtual online education across the nation to students, no matter where they are. We've since changed our name to Stride because we've expanded beyond the K-12 space, though that's still very much what we do as a priority. What we've also done with the Stride Professional Development Center is we've leveraged some of our expertise over the past 2+ decades of supporting schools and students and educators, teachers, principals, and we are trying to innovate, the way professional development happens for educators, and that we're doing that through the Stride Professional Development Center. Gone are the days where it's face-to-face only PD. It's episodic professional development. It's professional development that's not necessarily relevant to what teachers and educators need right away. So the Professional Development Center is designed to solve that challenge with some unique, innovative ways of delivering content.
All right, man. Well, listen, we are super excited here at the network to be engaged with you all and helping to provide this opportunity for teachers all across the country, and especially those teachers that are coming from our HBCU backgrounds, because we know that education was always one of the stalwarts of most HBCUs in this country. They all had teaching programs, and that's what a lot of them were founded for. So there, let's talk a little bit about those special programs that you guys have for the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Roy, you hit on the very important point. Right now in our country, we're facing probably one of the greatest challenges, of our teaching corps that we have in many, many years. And that's around this teacher shortage. A lot of teachers are exiting the profession. Just based on tenure, they're retiring and moving on, and then you have, our existing teachers who are being taxed and stressed, particularly post-COVID with, increasing demands, challenges that they're facing in the classroom, and a host of other issues that they struggle with. And we need good teachers, and we need to support the teachers that we have. So the two things that we're doing is that we know first-year teachers, among all teachers, are among the first to leave the profession within the first 5 years. I think they do at a 44% rate, which is just scary to think that folks are, graduated, want to go in the classroom and make a difference, but, feel like they need to leave within the first 5 years because it's so challenging. So we want to support them. Obviously, as a new teacher, your school that you work, where you work your first year, the district where you work, there will be some professional development support to assist you. But we want to go a step further. We want to help every teacher in the country get off to a strong start to their first year and have some stick-to-itiveness, to help them get through that first year. So we're offering a year free access to the Stride Professional Development Center. It's a ever-growing online database of courses that will help them in a variety of different ways. Classroom management, targeted instruction, and a host of other things. And the content will continuously grow. Again, it's just another resource that allows them to sharpen their practice, to feel like they're supported, because the research says that teachers are leaving in large part because they don't feel like they get enough professional support. So we really hope that helps new teachers. So again, this is for any new teacher who just graduated in the country. All you have to do is go to our site and sign on using the Teachers Win discount at checkout. Also, we have another campaign where during Teacher Appreciation Week, we gifted all teachers in the country, no matter where you are, 6 months free Professional Development Center access. But we're doing a special thing through our partnership with the BCSN and our HBCU graduates, and also the schools that you work with. We want any teacher in the country who through our partnership gets access to the Professional Development Center, and they get 6 months free using the BCSN 23 passcode at checkout. Again, our goal is to support and get as many teachers on the site feeling supported, to really help them succeed and have some success, not only for them, but obviously for our kids and the communities they serve. So
Most definitely. And Darren, listen, we are super excited again to be a part of this. My mother was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. I have my best friend is a teacher.
Absolutely.
So we understand. I've worked in the school system for years. So I understand the resources that are needed. I understand why a lot of these teachers do take the time and they sit there, and after going through college, they're like, you know what, let's do something different. Yeah. So we're happy to be a part of this to help you guys change that. So ladies and gentlemen, here's all you guys need to do. All you need to do is take a look and go to the link that's right below us right now and see what you're going to do. You're going to see 2 links on the page now, just to make sure. The top one takes you to their professional development page, homepage, that'll let you know about some of the things that are happening there and the things that you have access to. Go to the second link that says Teacher Appreciation. That'll take you directly to the content page where you can sign up and get your free year if you're a new teacher, and your free 6 months if you're an existing teacher. Let's show them how we utilize resources, and we make sure that we take time, those folks who are HBCU alum, and use this. And let's see what Stride has to offer. We're excited about it. We know you will be too. Darren, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the folks?
No, I mean, just, as a teacher myself, and understanding the need, and of course with the diversity that's needed in our teaching corps across the country, I know our HBCU teacher graduates are just exactly what we need in our community. So I really encourage them, and just glad to be doing this partnership with you all.
All right. Well, folks, there you go again. Mr. Darren Reed, Senior Vice President of Stride Professional Development Learning. We will be seeing you guys, and trust me, you'll be seeing more from their partnership with us as we move forward, always trying to do our best to make sure that we move forward with the community. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Welcome to episode 410, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast that is covering the sporting HBCU dash, all things HBCU from institutions large and small, from the NEIA, the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. We simply just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. As brothers are back in the building. We're filming from our home studios and sending us live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper, in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Gentlemen, starting with you, Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. We are right upon it. We are upon these media days now. SIAC tomorrow, SWAC next week, MEAC next week. Football is right around the corner.
Are you ready? Have you recharged your battery?
My battery is recharged. I'm excited. Looking forward to going into this 2023 season. A lot of interesting storyline.
That's for sure. Mm-hmm. With that being said, Mike Washington, how you doing today?
Oh, good, man. It's pretty good. It's still a little toasty here in Houston, trying to find shade trees and things of that nature. But
where? Tell me where.
Other than that, like CB, getting ready for the upcoming football season. It's about that time. You can feel it, smell it in the air if the heat don't get to you. We got, media day coming up. We got 2-a-days right around the corner. I'm looking at travel plans for the fall, trying to pick which dates, which games. So there's a lot of excitement. You can feel the buildup. You had the Swingman Classic that just took place as well. So a lot of interesting stuff happening. Look forward to SWAC Media Day next week. I won't make the SIAC, but look forward to the SWAC Media Day next week. So
good stuff, good stuff. And I guess I gotta ask you, are you ready?
Well, I'm born ready, man. I'm from Texas, man. We born ready. Come on now.
Oh boy, I knew he had. I mean, we had such a great start. He had to ruin it, Charles. He just had to say something crazy. I got it. We can't get 3 minutes into the show. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. With that being said, shout out to Carol Keelan, Carl Edmond, Chuck Hunt, Christopher White, Brandon King is in the building, Ricky Burton, Varick Williams, Mary Allen are all in here ready to go with some others. Checking us out as we get going. Yes, lab listeners, it's that time. We will actually be in Atlanta tomorrow, Charles and I, with a couple of others. So we'll be in there checking out the SIAC and see if we can bring you some of their media day as they get excited. And they have a Hall of Fame banquet that was reinstated with the SIAC Media Day. So we get a chance to see folks getting excited as they get inducted into their Hall of Fame for all the great work they did in the SIAC. So that certainly will be fun to see what's going on there. But let me go back to you, Charles. What's some other HBCU news of the day that has you interested at this time?
Yeah, well, let's take a look at SWAC Media Day. The SWAC yesterday announced the attendees for next week's SWAC Media Day. So let's take a look at that. Representing Alabama A&M will be Donovan England and Zarian Hayes. Alabama State, Juwan Howell, running back, and Colton, Bubba Adams, linebacker. Representing Alcorn, Jarvin Howard and Malachi Bailey, offense and defense respectively. Bethune-Cookman will be represented by Jimmy Robinson, running back, and Omari Hill Robinson, defensive back. The FAMU Rattlers will be represented by Jeremy Musa, quarterback. And we go on to Grambling, Sunday out of Anderson, defensive end, and Lewis Matthews will be representing the G-Men in Birmingham next week. Representing Jackson State Tigers will be running back J.D. Martin and defensive lineman Devontae Davis. Representing the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley State is Jamari Jones, quarterback, and Brandon Williams, defensive back. Representing the Prairie View A&M Panthers, Ahmad Antoine, running back, and Keyshawn Johnson, linebacker. Keyshawn Johnson, linebacker, a little different there. Southern will be represented by Harold Blood, quarterback, and Jalen Campbell, linebacker. The Texas Southern Tigers will be represented by Andrew Body and Jacob Williams. And the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions will be represented by offensive lineman Ryan Atkins and defensive lineman Anas Lookman. So those will be your representatives at the SWAC Media Day next week. Looking forward to covering that for all things HBCU sports there.
Good stuff. Anybody that you're most interested in talking with or intrigued about this on the list that kind of has your attention more than somebody else? Either a coach, player, or two?
Yeah, obviously, I think a lot of excitement will be surrounding Florida A&M's program. Coach Willie Simmons, he's always great to talk to. Coach McNair is always a steady presence there and representing the Alcorn State Braves. And then, basically you have a brand new team that you're looking at with Jackson State. So TC Taylor will always be an interesting talk to next week. So a lot of very interesting storylines going into this upcoming season. Looking forward to it. So it'll be fun.
Mike, before I ask you news of the day, I'm going to follow up with that question. Anybody at the SWAC Media Day next week that has your attention that you particularly want to ask the question or two, or at least want to kind of hear their comments, whether it's a coach or a player?
Yeah, I definitely would like to speak again with Andrew Body. He's coming into his, third year. had kind of a sub-stellar year last year. I'd like to hear, what his take coming into this year is. A lot of folks expect quite a bit from Texas Southern. I concur with, Jackson State and the brand new team. I'd like to hear, what 2023 holds for them and what they look like. I'm intrigued to speak with Coach Bubba McDowell and Prairie View A&M. Ahmad Antoine is the running back who'll be representing Prairie View, and Keyshawn Johnson is a returning linebacker. But, Prairie View, in the eyes of many, has a strong team. So I'd like to hear what they have to say. I'm very interested to hear what their outtake or what their take is on the season. And I'd like to speak with Jeremy Musa. I'd like, to see, he's a returning QB, hear his take. So those are about 3 or 4 folks I'm really looking forward to speaking with.
Good stuff there. Before I go back to you, Mike, I want to do 2 things. So hold your news of the day. I want to hear what you say there. But in accordance with Charles, SIAC, as we told you, they're mediated tomorrow. They sent out who is attending, obviously the coaches and those that don't. Let me go over those just in case, certainly with the players. Albany State, Quinn Gray, head coach. Jalen Mitchell and Ralph Lavette are the athletes that will be there. Allen University, Teddy Curtin, head coach, with Gary Raj and David Wright as the student athletes. And then Benedict Chennis Berry, head coach, is back at it as he be interesting. He says, as he the champion last year, what he had in store. Lebert, Danellis, and Joshua Hayward. You have Kevin Porter, head coach, Brandon Brock, and Jalil Lenoir. Clark Atlanta University, Willie Slater, Ronnie West, Cameron Ivy. Edward Waters, Torino Morgan with Deshaun Hughey and Dontrell Roll, as well as Sean Gibbs, Jamel Jackson, Tim Alderman with Fort Valley State, and then Kentucky State, Felton Huggins Jr. with Jimmy Edmonds and Jalen Johnson. You have Lane Dragons with Byron Brown, Mackenzie Howard, and Jared Gaston. Miles Golden Bear, Samuel Shade as the head coach, Roosevelt Thompson and Tyler Lowry. Morehouse, Gerard Wilcher, and as the head coach with Dalen Land and Marquez Pride. Lastly, but not least, we have Amron Kelton, head coach there, Jaden Adams, Kyla Frazier, and Jonathan Glover. So they got 3 that they're bringing up for the Savannah State Tigers. Tuskegee, Aaron James, Antonio Meeks, and Vincent Mill kind of close out things. The Hall of Famers that will be honored will be 1992-93 SIC Women's Track and Field Champions of Alabama A&M. You have Dr. Ernest McNeely, Allen University and Stillman College. Representative Calvin Smyrie, Fort Valley State. Arthur McAfee Jr., Morehouse College. Alex Purcell, Morehouse College. Jeffrey Henderson, Stillman College. And Drayton Florence of Tuskegee University will be honored as the Hall of Fame inductees coming into the ceremony there. So I want to give a little shout out there. And then in terms of G. Boom Holly, he has all that blue and white he has out there. And that's for you, Roy. Phi Beta Sigma's conclave is in Houston. And so G. Boom Holly is going to be acting his best self, hopefully staying out of trouble. But he's starting it out with being in the lab. So I owe him a drink to celebrate that conclave. I'm sure they'll do it well. And then Stephen Gaither says he is on the road as he's making his way down there shortly to head to Atlanta for the SIAC. So we'll get a chance to see him tomorrow. With that being said, catching everybody up a little bit on the SIAC side of things, Mike, what else is on your mind with the HBCU sports news of the day?
I know we were talking about football, but this one caught my eye, a couple of sources. St. Louis Cardinals draft Trey Page out of Delaware State. So congratulations to him. The third baseman was picked 17th in the 17th round of the 2023 MLB draft. Kudos to him. He was one of 3 HBCU players to participate in the MLB draft combine. He also competed in the inaugural HBCU Swingman Classic, sponsored by my dude, Ken Griffey Jr. Page paid, I think he had the first hit in the game. The Pennsylvania native, he posted 71 hits, 50 plus runs, 53 real big innings, also known as RBIs or runs batted in on 191 bats. That's a heck of a season. Nice campaign in 2023 with Delaware State. He was the third player selected in the 2023 MLB, the third HBCU player. The others preceding him were Bethune-Cookman right-handed pitcher Nolan Santos and North Carolina A&T right-handed pitcher Xavier Mitchum, who were selected in the seventh and 10th round, respectively. So, big ups to those HBCU players. We hope they tread a long path in the MLB. Not enough, but here we have a showing of good HBCU players. I'd like to see a lot more in the future.
Good stuff, especially after the big week with the All-Star game. Which actually played today, but home run derby. You had the son-father duo winning that. That was pretty cool to see that.
That was pretty fun last night.
That was nice, yeah.
Exactly.
That was nice.
Swingman, Constantine Gifford Jr. I thought that was pretty cool to see that and wake up to that. I went through and saw much of it, and then switched around and had to pick up Faith and Deuces. They came back for their 10-day trip out of Atlanta and New Orleans doing their thing. So late night flight in. So I was out on the road getting it done. But yes, the house is full again. So I cleaned up everything, made sure it's spotless, didn't want any tracks out there, that I was.
You clean up everything.
I was supposed to, was drinking things maybe I shouldn't have been as much as,
You better clean up. You better have
the fruit,
make sure
polish. Just see the apples there, oranges peeled in the trash, make sure do all the old trash out, cookies and things. I'm just saying, brownies, I don't know. Maybe some of those were cleaned up to make sure they wasn't there. Just saying, shout out to Emma Price, Tony, Carl Moore, because these guys wouldn't let me participate in any of that or partake. They watched out and said, no, you can't do that. Kelly Butler eating it, Chad Cooper, Sean Givens are all in the building checking us out. Let's get into our first break. Come back on the other side. It's time to unveil the top 7. Who is in Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab?
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of
Inside the HBCU Huddle Report. With us, we'll be right back after this first break.
The BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum designed for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
From knowledge to
data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We got a third of the team of the X's and O's. BJ Jones, question for you. Are you part of the X's or are you the O's? Which one are you, X's or the O's?
Oh, man, I'm the X's, man. I'm the defensive guy, man. Played on the defensive side, coached on the defensive side. Yeah, I'm all X's over here.
All X's, all X's. I hear you. Just want to make sure people know in terms of the X's and O's as they get it done. When you gonna bring back HBCU weekly? When does it start? I know you've been posting updates with the pictures and stuff like that, but when does that debut? Have you made a decision on that yet?
That's going to be the right after SWAC Media Day, July 25th. So that night will be the first night back with HBCU Weekly.
Wow.
Nice. It makes sense. That's a good one to do it. Yeah, I feel a little bit of thunder there. I need to make sure we all align with that. I like that. That's a pretty good idea. With that being said, X's and O's. When is X's and O's going to debut?
Man, we're going to actually get that one started, man, 2 weeks before the MEAC SWAC Challenge.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. Well, we brought you in part of the team. We want to break down top 7. So we're going to get all the experts a view. You know, this is part of our Sunday edition. You know, usually we do our Sunday makeup and we have Joshua Sims in, but we'll make sure as we continue to get done, it might surprise and get him up in here. But as that goes, we got part of that team, as we said, a third of the X's and O's. Erica out there. We need to check on Erica and see what her schedule is for Thursday and see if she wants to talk a little football as she's making her rounds and getting things done. But with that said, if you would, let's bring up the mid-major, top 7, and see what everybody thinks in terms of my top 7 in terms of Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Huddle Report. I got the experts here, so they'll tell me if I didn't do enough homework, if I need to reboot the computer, if I didn't put in enough data analytics. We'll see what they say. Thus far, I've been pretty good, pretty good. I've had a couple of people shake their heads 2 weeks ago with Charles and Mike. And then, you know, as they came back on Thursday, they kind of shook some things up. But they didn't hurt me or hit me too hard. Brought in Brian and AD on Tuesday. They did pretty well. AD took the place. Brian took the place of Mike a little bit with some data analytics. He showed off a little bit, but, you know, he didn't put too much dirt on the soul there. With that being said, let's go with number 7. Bowie State Bulldogs 6-4, 5-3. You know, they took a major dip in terms of what they've seen last couple of years, different coaching year, but we got second year in stint. Think they can find a way to be in the top 7 as things continue to move forward. Again, 6-4, 5-3, 142 points. We'll see what that continues to look at. We move to number 6, sneaking in all the things. Tuskegee Golden Tigers. Are they going to be back? 8-2, 7-0 last year, played for a championship. Get it, good it done. Yeah, coaching change is there, but that talent is still in the building. Is Tuskegee going to be the Tuskegee of old in regards to being able to do it multiple years in a row, or was that just a one-year blip? At number 5, this team has been pretty constant. They have stretched and kind of moved in the top of the poll the previous year, but they took a step back. Will they continue to be able to move forward? Langston Lions, the only NAIA program in the top 7 in terms of moving around the football program, but they're solid. And we know they're going to be there in the mix, 6-4, 5-4. Can they right the ship in terms of conference play and make a run? They've kind of dipped down the last couple of years. We'll see what that looks like. Bringing us to number 4 in the mid-major division football poll rankings preseason is Fort Valley State Wildcats. 8-2, 5-2, solid season last year. But there was another team called Benedict that just wouldn't let them shine as much as they like. It'll be interesting. Will they still play Cinderella, or will they find a way to get over the hump? Regardless, they're going to have a pretty solid team. We'll see what that looks like in terms of Fort Valley State Wildcats. At number 3, we're going to go turn the corner. We're going to go up in the SIC. As we started with the SIC at number 7, we're back in the SIC with Fayetteville State Broncos. Bridesmaids, 9-3, 7-1. One first place vote, 195 points. They've been there before. If you're a Houston Oilers fan or at least an NFL fan, you kind of have heard this term. Can they actually knock down the door? Can they get in there and get it done and actually get a part of that championship? We'll see what it looks like. Number 2, one of the teams that may be in a way, the team that certainly was last year, is Virginia Union Panthers at 9-2, 7-1, 3 first place votes. They continue to have a lot coming back. They at number 2. At number 1, Benedict Tigers finding a way to get it done as they were last year's champion. You got to beat the man to beat him. 11-1, 7-0, 5 first place votes, 221 points. As they rolling and getting it done, that's the top 7. We're going to be nice, and we're going to give the first opportunity because I see Mike looking crazy, like he didn't pull out some data, so I'm going to make it wait a little bit. Charles smiling. I'll make him wait, too. We're going to be nice in terms of our guests. We're going to let BJ start it off. BJ, what do you think of the mid-major top 7?
Oh, man, I think Tuskegee is a little bit low. I think, man, they're bringing back some pieces, man. They did have the coaching change, and I mean, that's going to be a little bit different for them. But I think, they're in a good spot. I had them a little bit higher. Fayetteville State, to me, is the team to beat in the CIAA. I like them better than Virginia Union, believe it or not. I think Fayetteville State's going to be the team to beat. You can't go wrong with Benedict. Man, when you saw what Benedict did a year ago, I don't think you can go wrong with them. So, very, very interesting top 7.
Good stuff. I appreciate that. I like the way you said it. Very interesting. Charles, do you think it's interesting as well, or do you want to shake it up a bit? What do you think of the top 7?
Here's my difference between Benedict and Virginia Union. Benedict, no Eric Phoenix. Virginia Union, Jada Byers is coming back. Who's going to tackle Jada Byers? That's what I'm taking a look at with regards to at least the flip-flop there. I think Benedict is still a very strong team, but gosh, when you have a quarterback like Eric Phoenix not in the mix, it throws the gumbo off just a little bit for me there. But I think to BJ's point, Fayetteville State is a team that I'm keeping an eye out on. I think, like he mentioned, I think Tuskegee is a little bit low for my liking. But I think, the way they picked up steam toward the back part of the season, especially last year, really opened my eyes to what Tuskegee could look like this upcoming year. So I'm really looking forward to see how the Golden Tigers can get themselves back in the mix in terms of being that team again. So coaching change there, James. Yeah. No, I'm saying that those are the teams that are very interesting to me in terms of taking a look at your top 7 here.
So no concerns with the new coach at Tuskegee. They're going to just keep rolling and take the next step.
A little bit of concern. There's always concern when you have a coaching change, yeah. But I do think I do think the talent pieces are there for them to keep rolling like they were. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's why they are in the top 7. You made it sound like they were roll. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't too far off and say, hey, let's kind of see what the coach can bring to the team.
Benedict and Virginia Union, that caught me by surprise because I was waiting on Virginia Union to be one on that one.
You want Virginia Union? All right, I can see that. Mike, what are your thoughts?
No problems with 1 and 2. To me, you could flip those either way. You look at what Benedict did last year, that their body of work just in 2022 alone. Virginia Union, I kind of like CB. I was kind of looking at them to come 1. I'm not sold on Fayetteville State. Yes, should they be in the top 7? But every year they finish, what is it, the East or the South? They win that division and they can't get it done. Every year. So yes, they should be in the top 7, but maybe a 5, 6, or 7, a little lower. So I think Tuskegee, you move up. They have a new coach, but I am talent-wise, player-wise, I saw them play like once last year. Haven't taken a look at who they bought in. But I have a lot of confidence in what Tuskegee and Bowie State is always a competitive team. I think they can move up. Fayetteville State, they just hadn't done enough to finish in order for me to say that they're a top 3 team.
Ooh, you don't want to see them top 3? Well, that's
no.
Brings us to the final question. Are there any of the 7 that you back out? Said, hey, they're too high. You want to take one of the teams, some team, and bump them up top 7. Is there a team or 2 that you want to drop out, Mike?
Out of these top 7, ooh, that's a tough one. The one I would have to say is probably, if I had to bump one out, Langston. And I would bump them in somewhere between 8, 9, and 10, because I looked at your 8, 9, and 10. I think when we talked last, there was one team that I felt they should have been, and I was trying to figure out who that was. But I would say Langston.
I would say Bowie State.
DJ.
I would say Bowie State.
Yeah.
Bowie State get the boots from both Charles and BJ. Mm-hmm. They got to go. Any team you put up in there, who you bumping in there, or you just bumping out?
Albany State.
Albany State, yep. That was it.
Yeah,
Albany State.
If you bump out Bowie, who you put jumping in there?
For me, I like Lane.
Good stuff.
Like Lane's a bit of a dark horse to me.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll bring in the O's part in terms of X's and O's. We'll come right back into the top 7 of the major division and see what people have to say. And everybody wants to hear what Joshua Sims Sr. has to say. So stick with us. We'll be right back as we bring in the X's and O's in our Sunday edition of the show on Tuesday, getting you ready for this season. Stick with us. We'll be back after our second break.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Leo's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. A couple of other ones have joined us. Theron Water says, hi guys. Hell Wildcats, as he like to say. Silas Edward McMorris talking about the Prairie A&M Panthers. Sarah Beverly. Brother Gerald Wayne Joseph. Brother Joseph's in the building. HBCU Heritage Center. Joe Eagle checking us out as we get it done. With that being said, let's get into this major division and get to this top 10. Let's get it rolling as we do the top 7 for the major division. At number 7, we have Howard Bison, 5-6, 4-1. I know Joshua gets tired of hearing this. They were cold regular season champions, but we'll see what that means for this year. Is going to be any different in terms of how that goes down. So at number 7, out of the MEAC, we have none other than Howard Bison. At number 6, we're going to head down south, going to the SWAC. See what BJ Jones thinks about this. Southern Jaguars, 7-5, 5-3. Played in the SWAC championship game last year, but could not bring back a trophy and head to the Celebration Bowl. But that's on their mind. We'll see if they can get it done this year. Bringing us to number 5, we have Alabama A&M Bulldogs. Getting it done last year in terms of how they rolling. Incorrect there in terms of their record, as they had a losing record last year, but they're in the top 5. At number 4, Jackson State Tigers, 12-1, 8-0, as they are rolling 174 points. Top 4 program. Bringing us to number 3. Might surprise some folks at number 3. Alcorn State Braves, 5-6, 4-4. Look for them to have a rebound season, 205 points coming out of the West. See if they can get it done. At number 2, Florida A&M Rattlers, 9-2, 7-1. A lot of people's favorite team to look at. Can they get it done? As heavy as the head that wears the crown. We'll see what that looks like. At number 1, unanimous, North Carolina Central Eagles, winning the Celebration Bowl, 10-2, 4-1. All 11 first place votes. 231. Can they duplicate the season they had last year or even do one better as they are rolling? Be interesting to see what that looks like. I'm going to go with the old guards. I'm going to go to Mike first. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of the top 7 here in the major division of HBCU football? Preseason poll ranking.
Yeah, it may be small, but I still say you have Jackson State at number 3. They 2-year defending SWAC championships. To beat the champ, you got to beat the champ. And then, you could argue between Jackson State and Florida A&M. So, really no haste out of me out of the top 4. I don't know if I'd have Alcorn State at number 3. They haven't done enough for me to warrant that. And I would actually move Southern up a little bit. I'd have them at number 4, 5, maybe. I wouldn't rank them below Alabama A&M.
So Mike, we're gonna jump and stay with that as we go around. If you're dropping Alcorn out of the top 7 or just dropping them down for 3?
No, dropping them down for 3.
Okay. With that being said, let me rotate and go to Charles. Charles, what do you say about the top 7?
I was a bit surprised to see Alabama A&M where they were. Jackson State. That's a tough one. I think that's fair where they are, but I'm like Mike. I think you can flip flop they and Alcorn. Alcorn is a very intriguing one to me because of the running back that they have, Jarvian Howard, one of the hardest rushers, along with Donovan Eagle in the SWAC. But this new quarterback that everybody's talking about, Chris Martin, I'm very, very curious about what he brings, what sort of dynamic that he brings to that Alcorn offense, because last year was all run and no pass. So for Alcorn to be as high as they are without seeing what Chris Martin can do thus far, to me, Alcorn might be a little high.
I see it. That's 2 of them saying Alcorn's a little high. Let me go to Joshua Sims before he gets in and swings the golf club, as you see him walk in the back 9 as he's trying to get it done. Hopefully don't have any money on it. If he does, share with your friends.
It's not fun if it ain't no money.
It ain't no fun. Ain't no fun if the homies can't have none, right?
There you go. That's right.
I have not won a skin all day today, y'all. So I ain't worried about that.
It's all good. It's all good. Good to have you back in the building. With that being said, what do you think of the top 7?
Yeah, I mean, Doc, you look at that, and obviously the most obvious thing that everybody can be able to go to is where Alcorn is. I actually am opposite on that, man. I think Alcorn has a really dynamic backfield, led by Jarvian Howard. And you look at that, and you look at how games are going to have to be won in the SWAC next year. On HBCU Nightly, we went through the entire schedule, had a panel full of everybody voting and looking at it. And we looked at the fact that Alcorn has most of their key games are at home. And that's going to be a big, big factor, specifically in a conference like the SWAC that is deep, man. You're talking 6, 7, 8 teams in that conference that genuinely, especially in that SWAC West, that is, I mean, if you can find another conference that's got a side like that SWAC West, listen, I got some money for you. I ain't want no money on this golf course, but I got some money for anybody that can find one that's as deep as that SWAC West, man. I'm going to be honest. So when you look at that and you look at, well, who's the team that's going to come out of that SWAC West? For me, I think it's going to be the team that's going to control the game clock, control the yard marker. They're going to play stout,
kind of stingy defense, and then they're going to let the run game kind of set the tone for them. So when I look at that and I say, well, Alcorn has all of those sentiments. I'm not looking for Alcorn to throw the ball around a whole lot. I'm looking for them to run the ball, control the clock. And if you look at their schedule kind of beads out very well. Obviously, they're going to have to take care of business against Southern. They're going to have to take care of business against Prairie View, who I believe Prairie View probably has the best quarterback right now, maybe behind Miles Carley in the SWAC West, and Trazion Conley. But obviously, you look at that top three and you say you can shuffle anywhere from 2, 3, and 4. You can shuffle any of those teams around. I mean, if we're being honest, if we're looking at history of here lately, you can shuffle any of those guys around. Yeah. I think that we are being a little bit more, if we're being a little bit more honest, it's a first-year head coach, but he's not a first-year head coach new to the program down there in Jackson. So I'm looking forward to them being able to make some strides, but how many of those strides we're going to see, only time is going to tell. And then obviously you look right there at the top, and you look at a North Carolina Central sitting there at the top, bringing back 90+% of the team back. Everybody's back on campus. You bring back an all-world quarterback in Davius Richard, a guy who's looking to be able to try to get his name higher on the draft boards and something to prove. And honestly, North Carolina Central has something to prove, more so because that school down the highway keeps talking about the fact that they got the most national championships in the 2000s. And honestly, for us, we got to find a way to shut that up. And so whoever it is we see in Atlanta, we're looking forward to it. But Howard and Morgan, I think Howard, we don't know what's going to happen with Howard. FAMU is going to look solid at the quarterback position. And Morgan State is going to have a stout defense, but we don't know if they're going to have a quarterback that's the oldest quarterback in all of college football or a new person on the block. So,
good stuff. Guys, let me go to BJ, and then I'm going to let you, Charles, ask a follow-up question. Let me go to BJ. BJ, get your thoughts in terms of the top 7.
I'm shocked to see Alabama A&M up there. There's a few teams that I would have put above Alabama A&M, but Alabama A&M has the ingredients. If they play it right, I think they have one of the best backs in the conference in England. If they can show up that defensive side of the football, I think that, with that running game and that they can play some defense, that becomes a dangerous football team. I'm kind of shocked not to see Texas Southern somewhere in the top 7. With Andrew Body coming back, we're talking about a team that was one of the youngest football teams in the country 2 years ago. A lot of those kids are still there in that program. You saw what they were able to do a year ago. And I think they're in that mode where they're finding ways to win. Jackson State, I'm going to give them respect and say that I will put them above Florida A&M. Look, I've seen bad Jackson State teams beat good Florida A&M teams. I can't explain it to you and tell you why, how. It just happened.
Yeah.
All right, we go back 2018. So, I can understand there. Alcorn, a little high for me. I think quarterback is still a question mark. I think quarterback is a question mark. I think for Alcorn to win it, Alcorn is going to have to win it the way that they won when they went on that run. Running the ball, playing solid defense. I think that's going to be the key for Alcorn. Number one, man, you have no pushback for me, man. North Carolina Central, man, bringing back everything, man, on paper, man. They are the team to beat. Hey, Southern is what they are. They're gonna have to prove it. Prove their way up the ladder. So, I'm pretty good with it.
Charles, I know you had a follow-up question or 2. Go ahead and take it.
Yeah, let me start with you, BJ, real quick. What is it? And I know your ears are to the ground there in Baton Rouge, but Harold Blood taking over the quarterback position at quarterback. On the roster last year, didn't get an opportunity to show what he could do. But what do you think is the major difference with regards to Harold Blood taking over this offense?
You have a capable quarterback that's able to get the ball down the field, that's able to make more than one read, and throw the football. And then this quarterback room is night and day compared to what it was, because you got 2 freshmen coming in, Jalen from Metro Atlanta. You got the kid from Scotlandville, who's the #1 recruit in all FCS football. You got some young guys in there that can make a play. And Jalen Woods from Atlanta, Georgia. I got a chance to see him play. One of the top quarterbacks in the state of Georgia. All-state 6A, which is no small feat when you play here in the Metro Atlanta. There's a lot of hype around that young man. There's a lot of hype around that young man and the program that he comes out of, and the quarterbacks that have come out of that program. So I think this quarterback room, I think for Harold Blood, this is your opportunity to grab about the reins, but you got some guys behind you that can play. And if Harold Blood is to maintain that number one seat, he's going to have to play well throughout the year. But I will say this, for Southern, you have one of the most talented backfields coming back. You're not going to ask the quarterback to do much. When you look at that backfield and who's coming back, Gerard Sims is back. The running back from 2 years ago, he's back. You add the running back from Alabama A&M back. That's a stable of a running back room also. And you're not going to have to ask your quarterback to do too much.
A lot of great running backs are coming back here in the SWAC this upcoming season. Are both of you saying that offensively, the path to the SWAC championship has to be around a running game? Because typically in the SWAC, you got to throw the ball. You throw the ball, to kind of open up things with regards to running. But and that's the kind of the question that I have. Who is the quarterback that kind of opens up someone's running game? Does Alabama A&M have that? Does Alcorn have that? Those are the question marks that I have. But what do you guys think?
I think for me, it starts inside of the conference. You look at the class of the conference at the quarterback position, which for me is where I really focus a lot of my attention in. It starts at Jeremy Musa. I think you look at what they have coming back down in Florida A&M. Jeremy Musa presents an opportunity, a guy who can go through his progressions. But this is going to be our first time getting a chance to see him without Zay. The majority of his productivity came from throwing to one guy who obviously is a professional now, playing on the pro leagues. After you go there, then maybe you can go to Miles Crawley or Trazion Conley. But after that, you got a bunch of guys who we haven't had a chance to see yet. Andrew Body will be coming back off of injury. Which Andrew Body do we end up seeing for them? So, I do think that it's going to be heavily weighed on the run. And I think for this season in particular, because it's not like how it was going into last offseason, where you have a clear Shador Sanders that's inside the conference, that's an all-world passing quarterback. The conference is going to shift back to, can you control the line of scrimmage through the run? Can you control the time of possession by carrying the ball? And do you have a workhorse running back that can run the ball? And does he have a backup or a complementary back to be able to take a little bit of the load off? And so when I look at that, and I look at a team like an Alcorn, I do look at a team like Alabama A&M. I look at those teams as the teams inside of the SWAC that really have a leg up as it pertains to that, what I believe to be. But that could be complete opposite. We could see very much more of take the top off the field, throw the ball down the field, a lot of short passes. We can see a lot of mesh routes. We can see a lot of underneath routes again this season in the SWAC, and that end up being the controlling factor. But from my vantage point, I see that it's going back to a run game control, and the team that I know for a fact inside that conference that does that almost to perfection is Alcorn State.
BJ, you wanted to add any thoughts to the question?
I think a year ago, we saw the worst quarterback play we saw in the SWAC in a long time. If you took away Shador Sanders and Jeremy Musa, it was bad. I think that we've learned from that. I think a lot of coaches learn, if it ain't there, man, don't try to make it happen. You're not going to make Joe Montana, out of Joe Budden. You're not. So I think that coaches are going to be smarter, take what you give, and that's going to be the running game. But you are going to need a guy who's going to be able to stretch the defense out and complete some passes. There's going to be some third and longs you're going to have to convert. There's going to be a guy that's going to have to do that. So I think all around, I think you're going to see improved quarterback play. It might not reflect it in the numbers as far as like yardage, but in that completion percentage, man, I can't tell you how many games we saw last year. We saw guys going 9 for 23, 9 for 24, completing 38 and 33% of passes.
Yeah.
Good stuff. We're going to take our last break. We'll come back on the other side. Great comments coming. Lennon in here talking about Joshua. Be careful. He said, you talk about the SWAC. He said, where about the MEAC? I do have a MEAC question to follow up. You can think about this in the break. Is this too SWAC heavy in terms of those 5 teams in the top 7, only 2 out of the MEAC? Is there another MEAC team you say might be sneaking in and finding a way in the top 7? We'll come back on the other side and get your thoughts on that. Then we're going to ask all these gentlemen to tell me what are some of the guys to keep the eyes on, some guys to watch, whether it's offense or defense. Who is there 1 or 2 players that they want everybody to make sure they're watching beyond what you have to watch on your own team. Stick with us after this last break. We'll come back on the other side. We unveiled the top 7. You see who is the teams to watch. These gentlemen told you who should be in there, who should be out. But with that saying, as we get into the season week to week, we want to find out who's going to stay in that top 7, who's going to fall out. Stick with us after this last break.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have our Sunday crew together, the brothers of X's and O's, 2/3 of that show. Shout out to Erica. I'm gonna have to reach out to Joshua, start checking with Erica and see if she wants to come on Thursday, see if she wants to get in and tell us a little thoughts on this and make sure that we give her some love in terms of the X's and O's. With the gentlemen of inside the HBC Sports Lab. With that being said, I came back from the other side and I teased out a little bit and I said I was going to ask you, is this too SWAC heavy for you, or does this make sense in terms of your analysis? Do you see a MEAC team that should be in the top 7, Joshua?
No, I don't think it's too SWAC heavy. I think you look at the fact that we've only got 6 teams in the MEAC right now. And, the SWAC has, double that amount. So you look at that amount, you look at that, and you look at the breakdown. And generally, relatively speaking, you really are only going to have, you look at the top half of the MEAC, you really only have 2 or 3 teams in a good year. You got 2 or 3 teams. So either way you look at it, if you're on the bottom half of the MEAC, you're certainly not in the top 7 of all of HBCU football. That being said, I'm going to say something that I think that everybody's got to be very, very cautious of. Mm-hmm. Beware of those boys in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. This is a national championship quarterback they got running back there. He's back. I know he had a lot going on last year. They are going to get back to their normal selves, controlling the ground game, playing a really good defense. They got Jablonski Green and all those boys back on defense. And I'm going to tell y'all now, if we get too hasty and start getting on this Howard train, and listen, I done seen this happen 100 times. I like Howard. Don't get me wrong. Great institution. We separate the institution from the sports. Great program, right? Quinn Williams. I think Q Will is a good quarterback. I think they got a good running game and all that good stuff. Some big offensive linemen, all that. They got all the ingredients that on paper look like they're going to be. But I'm going to tell you this now. If you are not aware of those boys in Orangeburg, South Carolina, you're going to find out fairly soon. I mean, the beautiful thing about them, we're going to find out at the MEAC SWAC Challenge on what exactly those guys down in Orangeburg look like. And I can guarantee you, like my grandma used to say, I can guarantee you that those guys, South Carolina State, is not going to play a lot of games this year. Listen, they returned a lot of guys on that defense that was very stingy, a year prior. And, defensive back-wise, they got some room they got to grow. They're going to be young in the defensive backcourt. But at linebacker, that front 7, they as good as any other defense in the country. And you better have your eyes wide open. You better make sure your scout report is ready to go. Because especially on that front 4, all right, play around if you want to. Play around with them boys you want to. And shout out to old savvy ball coach Buddy Pugh, man. I mean, literally, man, he's going to have them boys ready to go. and he's gonna have them ready to go in that MEAC SWAC challenge against Jackson State. And I know there was a little comment that was thrown in there to worry about the MEAC. Listen, I know about all the football. I played college. I know about it all. I know about the whole landscape. I just so happen to be a North Carolina Central grad, and so I know about the whole landscape. All right, but nonetheless, yeah, I better worry about that boy 11 up there in Durham, North Carolina. Everybody better worry about him because he ain't
Charles,
gonna play
I'm gonna
no
let
games.
you get that question in, but I want to give him a chance to ride through it a little bit. I'm gonna go to Mike. Mike, in regards to what a key player or two that you really want us to keep our eyes on this season?
Key player, I get two. I think so. Obviously, out of the MEAC, Davius Richard and the running back Collier out of North Carolina Central. I look for big things to them. Want to see Myers, of course. Would like to see what he can do. And if you're looking at the SWAC, there's a couple that intrigue me. I really want to see, maybe I'm being a little selfish. On the yard, there's a lot of talk about the improvements made by the quarterback there at Prairie View. So I want to see how he does. If you looked at Prairie View's offense, one of the reasons is they were pigeonholed. Some of their they really couldn't stretch the field. So due to some of the improvements, I want to see what the quarterback play is going to look like there. Jeremy Musa, I'm be interested to see what he's going to do at FAMU as well. He's coming back for another year. FAMU is highly ranked. They had a great recruiting year. They got a solid defense. I want to see what he can do. So those are the ones, if you ask me, that come to mind right now. I have a few others, but you gave me only one or two, and you said I normally act up, so I'm gonna be good today, Doc.
You did well, Mike. You did really well. I tell you what, one thing is setting up, obviously, that Labor Day Classic between Texas Southern and Prairie View really is becoming interesting because you got a side of folks that really have intrigued and say, hey, Prairie View is up and coming rather, but then you have another group of people saying, no, not so fast. The team that they're looking at up and coming in the West is Texas Southern. So that first game really becomes intriguing in regards to what that looks like. Can one team really put it on the other team and put a step in there? Or will it be a close game where both teams and people say, no matter who loses, say, hey, don't get too down on this team because that was really a knockout, drag-out fight. With that, I'm going to go to you, B.J. Jones. What's a player or two that you want to keep your eyes on, whether it's MEAC, SWAC, or both? Or even sneak out of the A&T and Tennessee State. Is anybody over there that people are kind of ignoring in terms of what might come out of that or even happen?
Boston Green, South Carolina State. He was one of the best players on the field for them 2 years ago. Injury played last year. Let's see if he and that defensive unit can get back and playing the type of ball that you saw him playing spots last year. Not consistent, but you saw him playing spots. And I'm gonna give you one out of the SWAC. Nyqua Lett, quarterback, Alabama State. Alabama State was quarterback away last year. All-world defense. Nyqua Lett, we talk about those quarterbacks that come out of the Atlanta metro area. Quarterback from Creekside High School. We saw Felix Harper and a few other ones come out of Creekside. He has all the tools, and I've been hearing a lot of buzz about that young man and his arm strength and the arm talent that he has. And if you give Alabama State a capable quarterback, that is a dangerous football team.
Agreed.
Charles, I want to know your player to watch out and look at, and then follow up with asking your question that you wanted to get to Joshua with.
Well, obviously, I think with regards to players to look for, Davius Richard and Jeremy Musa, they stand out. They're the head of the class with regards to quarterbacks. But I think this is the year of the running back, especially when you take a look at Latrell Collier, North Carolina Central. You take a look at Donovan Eagle, Alabama A&M, and Jarvian Howard at Alcorn. A couple of players that I'm really looking forward to seeing, and we don't mention tight ends quite a bit, but they are physical. These two tight ends are physical challenges for a lot of defense, and that's Brennan Brown and Howard and DJ Stevens at Jackson State. They're both big, fast, and physical, and it will be interesting to see how offensive coordinators can actually work the ball to tight ends this upcoming season.
Man, it's interesting because you named three great backs, but you just had B.J. Jones earlier talk about the running back stable of Southern. A lot of folks are talking about the running back stable. Yeah. I mean, one of the better running backs transferred from Valley to Prairie View, and he's not even ahead of the list that will be coming.
Johnson, yeah.
So it's a lot of depth out there to running back. So great points you're making. What was the question you wanted to follow up with Josh before I asked him his players to watch as well?
I can't remember what it was I was going to ask Josh.
My apologies.
Probably,
My apologies.
Yeah,
if it comes up, let me know. With that being said, Josh.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Real quick. And I think Josh kind of answered it. Yeah. And you mentioned North Carolina Central, but in terms of being ahead of class in the MEAC, but that next team that's right there, teeter-totter, and I think you talked about South Carolina State. And like you said, we talked about Howard, never seen that, Howard get over the hump, but nobody's really talking about Morgan State. I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, Charles, I'm of the opinion that Morgan State is probably a year away. We all know that college football is so quarterback centric, man. Football in general is, but in college football specifically, in the type of way we play it, the quarterback position is so important. And until we really know or we can see a guy coming out of Baltimore that we know for a fact we just know, he's that guy. You know what I mean? Until then, right now, we joke a lot about it, but they're going to have one of the oldest quarterbacks. And Carson Baker is back in Baltimore, Maryland. They're going to have one of the oldest college football quarterbacks in all of college football, bar none, subdivision, don't matter. He's going to be one of the oldest. And so you look at that, and if you don't go in that direction, you go with a guy who's not as proven, and so right now I would say that Morgan State is probably a year away because they got the quarterback in the building. He's probably going to redshirt this year because they know they got a lot of that defense that'll be coming back that following year. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I think Morgan State is going to sneak up, and I still believe that it's going to be a fight between them and Howard to finish in that top half of the conference, in my personal opinion. But right now, I would say South Carolina State, in my opinion, with a national championship quarterback, is the second best team in the conference with that defense, led by what my brother B.J. Jones says, Jablonski Green. You look at that, it's going to be hard to beat that every given Saturday. And you look at the fact that a couple of them teams going to have to go into Orangeburg, South Carolina this season, and you got to try to get a win against old Buddy Pugh 2 years in a row. All right, good luck, my friend.
Charles and I went down there early to Orangeburg on the sideline, and we got a chance to see why that's such a tough place to play. What did you got?
Nice, Josh. I would have just said, do we really need to talk about Morgan State and just been done with it this year? Seriously.
Look, I try to be generous, Mike.
He just loves messing with those schools with an M. First it was Mississippi Valley State, now it's Morgan State.
Do we really need to talk about them this year? I'm serious.
That's cold-blooded. That's cold-blooded. Shout out to my man Silas Edward McMorris. Says, also, I believe we have a Cavil on the team now. Yes. Wide receiver, kick returner. I'm fascinating in terms of new kid to check out. Really talented. And obviously, I say that because he is my nephew, but really is talented. So I'm interested to see how he gets to play with the momentum of what takes place in the SWAC with all the talent in the crowd. I think he had that taken away from him a little bit at ULM with some injuries and just in a lot of ways the Sun Belt in terms of not really having that emotional connection. So I'm intrigued to see what that looks like and see if he can get some of that momentum. I know one thing, his dad has really taught him how to catch the ball. He was a wide receiver himself. His uncle Kwame was a wide receiver. So the dude knows how to catch the ball with his hands, which is a fascinating thing. So it'll be interesting to see, will he get that opportunity this year? So fascinating to see with that incoming Kobe in terms of what that looks like. I'm going to go around. Last thing for everybody, give them a chance to have the last statements before we close out. Charles, starting with you. Any last statement as we really are kicking things off? Tomorrow we go with the SIAC Media Day in general, but what has you excited about the season and what's on your mind as you close out this week before things really get started?
What has me fascinated about the season, Ken Benedict repeat their performance from last season without Eric Phoenix. And then you look at the SWAC, I think the major storyline is what will this Jackson State team that has been the defending SWAC champion the past 2 years, what will they look like now in the TC Taylor era? So those are two big storylines, I think, going into the season.
I like it. I agree. BJ Jones, storylines.
For me, man, FAMU now or never. You talk about FAMU, man, being one of the most winningest HBCU football teams since 2018. They've always gotten right there, just can't get over the hump. Would this be the year that they do it? It seemed like the stars have aligned for them to do it. But let's see how that plays out. And, secondly, the Wild Wild West, the SWAC West. It got wild last year. I think it's going to be wilder this year. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of who puts themselves in the position, to win that division. And I think it's the most competitive division in HBCU football.
I like that, the Wild Wild West. Joshua, coming to you, and we'll let you finish up things first. This one's for Charles as well. Are you hitting them straight?
I am. I've taken the last 2 holes off, gentlemen, and I'm going to use this show as my excuse and reason for taking off the last 2 holes. I'm not making no capitulations. I'm not making no excuses. I'm going to say I was on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. That's my reason, and I'm sticking to it.
See you at the 19th hole.
What you say, Mike?
See you at the 19th hole.
Yeah, maybe the 19th. Yeah, maybe the 29th hole. But to the question though, the 2 storylines I would say I would go with is, what is this going to be for FAMU, man? Are you finally going to get to the dance? You've been asked a few times. You've had the team and the opportunity to get there for multiple seasons. I mean, what are we going to see this year, man? Is this going to be the year you finally get over that big blue devil that is down in Jackson State for you guys and that plagues you throughout the rest of the season? My second one is, we've got to start to realize what type of opportunity North Carolina Central has here. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I said it earlier in the show. If we don't do at least match what that school down the highway did, we're going to have to take care of them early in the season. I know that. But if we don't put ourselves in a position to at least match what they've done, I'm telling everybody now, if you attend the school at 1801 Fayetteville Street, you are not going to be able to hear the end of it. And so I'm looking forward to seeing, can we be the hunted? Can we be the top dog? Can we be the hunter? That's going to be a big question. Last year, we were the hunter. We showed up and surprised a lot of people. Not a lot of people knew what we had down there. But can we be the top dog, top end to top end, from start to finish? And that's what I think is the second biggest, not the biggest storyline as it pertains coming out of the MEAC. But I do want to see what FAMU, man. What are you going to do, man? And no disrespect to y'all down there in Tallahassee, high Seven Hills. No disrespect. But what is this going to look like? Is this going to be another year? And I promise you, if you don't beat Jackson State this year, you won't hear the end of this one. Because Prime ain't there. It's a brand new head coach, brand new quarterback, brand new, whole brand new team, basically. If you don't beat Jackson State this year, you won't hear the end of it.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, you're right. It's Lennon is already in here acting bad. He's in football mode, talking to us already in terms of whether it's in the MEAC or the SWAC. Yeah, with the teams. He say South Carolina State, y'all talking like they're valid. He said they could be beat. Then he goes in on Jackson State. Mike, your final thoughts to close out the show. What are you looking forward to?
Along with what Josh just said, a long time ago, Roy Jones Jr. fought Antonio Tarver. They fought a couple of times. And that second time, and although Antonio Tarver beat him the first time, he came back and he asked Roy Jones Jr., what's your excuse now, Roy? So I'm looking at fam and say, hey, fam, what's your excuse now? You got the team. You got the coach. I love Coach Simmons, but a lot of people are looking at fam, and I'm waiting to see how they gonna finish. Number 2, can we get one SWAC
Y'all
team?
made FAMU the hunted. And they even Coach Simmons like, man, hold on. We just trying to get the tape. No. What you gonna do? I know Coach Taylor's like enjoying the TC Taylor like, yeah, that's right. Put the pressure over there.
Let me sneak right under the radar. Go ahead. Put that pressure over there.
I know Coach Simmons ain't gonna give me no damn hat now, for sure. Every time I see him, I ask him for a visor. He's like, I got you. He ain't giving me one now. The other thing is, can we get a SWAC team to win the Celebration Bowl? Can we get one? Can we get one? I'm serious. Remember when we merged, we talked about, the SWAC gonna be a powerhouse. We own $1 million against the MEAC. Seriously. That's fair. We were talking about this. Remember, that was a storyline. SWAC's a powerhouse HBCU conference. And the MEAC was just, okay, all right. Coach P was like, all right, we'll see. We got y'all. North Carolina Central, like, all right, we got y'all powerhouse. Yeah, right here. So whatever. So can we get
Joshua, he just laughed. He ain't had to say nothing.
Yeah, we
So can we get one swag tape? That's-
y'all one now. We did give y'all one. We gave
Yes,
y'all one.
one.
Hey,
I
that's a great question, Mike. Can the SWAC actually meet and exceed the physicality of the MEAC?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I see that 1 year?
DJ Jones not feeling too good about it. He's shaking his head. Not yet. With that being said, that's a perfect way to close the show. They can say what they want in terms of SWAC love or whatever. We just call it and tell it like we see it. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I know I've spoken with the commissioner. He says the same thing. He said, I just want to win. I'm Dr. Cavil, on the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, BJ Jones, Joshua Sims Sr. Make sure you continue to check these brothers out. HBCU Weekly came back last week, so they're back in the yard. Look forward to X's and O's. HBCU Weekly is coming back as well. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. Look for us on Thursday at 6 o'clock. We'll give you an update of what took place at SIAC in Atlanta. We look forward as we continue to give you and discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube is Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Mike?
Lecture.
DJ Jones?
Dismissed.
Josh?
Eagle Pride. No, I'm just playing.